Hi, my name is Emily Barnum, and today we will be reviewing some tips and tricks for preparing for the upcoming mid-year exams. Now is the perfect time to organize and review for each of your classes. The midterms come up really quickly after we return from the holiday break. They begin on Tuesday, January 16th, and will continue through the 19th. Today we're here with Miss Thomas, our ELA Content Leader here at the high school. We will also later be joined by Miss Yanofsky and Miss Donahue, one of our special education teachers. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
So for many of our ninth graders, this will be the first time they're taking a cumulative exam. What kinds of things would you say are most important for them to keep in mind as we start preparing for these exams?
Well, specific to English, I think it's really important for students to, go back through what they've been doing, their binders, things like that, but then realizing that really what we are testing on are skills. So, they might have an essay or being asked to apply some of the strategies that they've been teaching, being taught all year. So, there's also the vocabulary and the grammar pieces. I think that's one of those things that students need to decide what works best for them. Some students do really well, doing practice sentences and trying to use the vocabulary words. Others do well with things like Quizlet. Study groups for that type of thing might be a good idea. But really, for English, it's important to just keep in mind that, the skills are going to be the majority of what the test is going to be. For our younger grades, we do a lot of things in MCAS style to sort of get ready for the test that happens in March for sophomores. And for the older grades, kind of depending on the course, they might be being asked to compare and contrast two books, or, for the AP students, something like, the AP test that they'll see later. For other grades, I'd say, I think that's where you have to do a lot more of the remembering of the things that you've been doing all year. And that's, I think this is when students realize that it's really important to be organized.
Right.
So, had I been organized all year, this would be much easier. So it's sort of a learning experience for ninth graders. And I think the ninth grade teachers in all subjects really acknowledge that when they give the students the test. This is their first time doing it. The other thing that I think is really important is if there's something that you don't understand, to go see your teacher. That's why we're here.
Right.
We love to help. If it's, don't feel bad about coming and asking about something that we did in October, because this is cumulative. So it's okay to come back and ask, I still don't understand, this part of the sentence, or, how to find the subject.
Right.
That it is okay to come back and ask those questions.
And so is your sense that most teachers will, leading up to the exams, be doing some sort of review?
I think so. And again, it depends on the course, but, a lot of times we'll go over, this is what you should expect on your test. This is the format. And that's something that's really important. If you are being asked to do something like write an essay, you've been working on these books, these texts, these units, these plays, these poems, and you can anticipate the questions that your teacher might ask. Like, we don't tend to make up new things about texts that we've been studying. We ask questions that have to do with the themes that we've been talking about. So you can do that test anticipation. And I think that's the case in a lot of subjects as well, when it comes to the written part of their exams.
Okay, great. In terms of the writing for the ninth graders, how can they study their writing? Would they just review pieces that they've written? What does that look like for a ninth grader? Pardon my ignorance.
No, I think that that's a great question. I encourage my students to look at, we keep a writing section of their binders. So, what are the things that you've been doing well? What are the things that, I've written that you maybe need to work on? For one of my classes, my freshman classes, I do a lot of analysis. We're working on analysis of evidence, right? Okay. So that's what I'm going to expect my students to sort of work on and demonstrate on their essays.
Right. Well, I think that's great feedback. And something that we just finished up talking to the ninth graders in seminar is how important it is to develop those relationships with your teachers and focusing on communicating with them when you don't understand something, or if you're confused about something, whether that relates to midterm exam review or a test in a class, or just confused about content or language comprehension. Those things are really important, just going back and connecting with the teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also important to collaborate with your peers. There might be a concept that your friend understood really well, and maybe you didn't. So studying together helps to fill in those holes a lot of time.
Great. Thanks so much, Ms. Thomas.
Thanks for having me.